Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to fix a broken white key from a Yamaha KX88 keyboard. This is the key, and unfortunately this is the second time I've made this video. I tried to show you the whole repair process, but my stupid Samsung tablet, which I'm using as a video recorder, is very touchy, and I must have accidentally just swiped the button next to the record button. The buttons are so close, even my fat fingers, and it actually went to selfie mode. So all he did was it got a picture of the lights for a half an hour there. And I'm really upset about that because I went through all the painstaking to show you the process here. So now I got to tell you what I did rather than actually show you. So I'm going to show you how to fix a KX88 key. And what happens is they tend to crack right here along this area here. And that's because this is where the touch sensor is. I'm going to show you with my finger. The touch sensor is underneath my finger on the keyboard, and those touch sensors on a KX88, they lose their sensitivity over time, and you tend to push really hard on the key, and that puts a lot of force and causes stress cracks right here and breaks the key. So I'm going to show you how to repair that because it's quite common. And also on the black keys, the failure mode is a little different. We have these little hooks. In this area right here is where the touchpad is. I'll line this up pretty much, and you can see the touchpad is there for the white key, and on the black key it's here. And what it does is all that force causes a lot of stress cracks right along this part of the hook. And sometimes you lose the hook, so I made a 3D part, a 3D hook that can be replaced, and I'm going to show you in another video how to replace that. Also, these hooks break off because people are trying to remove the keys and they don't do it properly. I have a video on that and how to remove the keys from a KX88. It's an involved process. It's not easy, and it's not for the weak-hearted. So we're going to get into the black ones in another video. So I'm going to show you what I did. Unfortunately, I can't show you the process because of the stupid camera. So let's just double check again. It looks like, yeah, it's recording. Sometimes this thing just goes out of recording on its own too. So what are we going to need here to repair this? We're going to need some isopropyl alcohol. We're going to need some common baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. We're going to need cyanacrylic super glue. And we're going to need some cotton swabs. Okay, we're going to need a shop razor, brand new, very sharp. You're going to need a hobby filing knife. I recommend the Testors kit. Comes with a whole bunch of different types of files. Alright, and you're going to need some masking tape. You're going to need some, it's good to have this on hand, some dust spray. You can just blow it by hand too. And you're going to need a Dremel tool with a cotton tip. This cotton is very rough, so I found out when I was trying to polish this was way too abrasive. So I started just doing it with moving it across without even rotating it. Even on low speed, it was too abrasive, and it was starting to cut into the plastic a little bit. So I don't recommend using a power. This is a harder cotton. Usually when I've worked with plastics, you have a big workbench, cutting like a grinding wheel with a big soft cotton wheel on it. It's very soft cotton, and you put a little jeweler's rouge on there, which is a slight abrasive, and you can polish plastics really clear with that. I don't have that. That was many years ago, and actually in high school when I worked with plastics. We had a plastics class. Kudos to Mr. Disney for that. Pretty cool class. We made all sorts of things out of plastic, like a screwdriver set and an ice scraper. And it was, learned a lot about it. But anyway, so don't use a Dremel on this, but I just put it on there and I'm going to rub it later on. So let me show you. I have some slides made up. This shows you how to repair the hook, whether you have the hook or if you're going to buy it. I have the 3D model, which is coming in the mail. It's all done. I had it done by JLC PCB out there in China. They do a pretty good job, and they made them for $5 for 5 pieces, like $1 a piece, plus another $5 for shipping, so it wasn't bad. So I'm going to have another video on that. But in this video, we're going to talk about how to make the repair. And some 2 sheets. So basically, underneath the crack, there's this little well, and we're going to beef that up. We're going to try to put a fillet in. We don't want to fill it in too much, but we want to fill it like this. But you're going to find out that's going to be impossible. You're going to end up filling this partially. And then, this is a top view, you try not to fill it in. And that's going to reinforce this right here at the crack point. I've already repaired the sides here with super glue and filled it in with a little bit of baking soda and super glue, which you're going to see here in a minute. So, you know, this is some slides I made. Then, if you really want, the crack will probably still be visible. There'll be dirt, whatnot in it. And I'm going to show you a way to, you know, we're going to put a V channel in the crack, and then we're going to fill it with, I tried to sand off a little bit of the plastic here to use as a filler, but there wasn't enough. I didn't want to scrape too much off of this and weaken it, so I ended up using baking soda to fill it, and that did a pretty good job. I could see the crack here in the repair, but once you get it on a keyboard and you're looking at the black keys next to it, you know, the contrast is not going to really stand out as much as the key being damaged that bad, and the shadows, and you're not going to really see much. So it's not bad. You might just want to leave the crack. It's kind of hard. Don't paint it, because all you're going to do is you're going to rub the paint off over time, and that's going to look like terrible. So either live with the crack or try to repair the crack. The whole point of the video was to show you that this was a learning experience, and you know, you can't get it perfect, but the more time you spend on it, the better it could get. But you get to a point of diminishing returns, you can make it worse. Now, some people say, why would I want to spend 2 hours fixing something when I can just buy the part for $40? You can. But the thing is, suppose you were working on something that was irreplaceable. You couldn't get it. Then you might want to do something like that. Or some of you want to save a few bucks, or maybe you're a hobbyist like me. So you say, hey, I could fix that, and you know, for pennies on the dollar. So why not? It's up to you. But I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So let's put these slides away for now. And the first thing you want to do is you got to remember the 3 C's of plastic. Clean, clean, clean. So you use alcohol and cotton swabs, and you clean out all the areas in here. This is dirty again because I've been working on it, especially in this area where you're going to be putting, you know, a mixture of baking soda and super glue. Those of you who work with model rockets and model airplanes know the old baking soda and super glue trick. It's a great way to build up. It forms like a plastic, a very sturdy plastic that holds up pretty well. So what you're going to do first is you're not going to put glue in the crack. There's no need for that, but you're going to put glue on the sides where it cracked here, and then you're going to hold it down and let that, you know, you're going to let that cure, so there's no bend in this right here where it stress fracked. And once you got these sides glued, you can fill in with a little baking soda and put super glue, and then you can file it down. It doesn't have to look that pretty. You don't really see this part of the key. You know, it's in the back there. This is the part you see, and it's okay, you know, but hey, we'll talk about it. Anyway, so now we fixed the crack here. We're not going to glue the crack on top. So we need to build this up inside here. So to reinforce it, because make it stronger than it ever was. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your super glue and you're going to drip along the side of the walls of this cavity. Okay? Just a little bit to wet the walls, and then you're going to dump some baking soda in there. I usually start off with a piece of paper and have like a little clump of it, and I scoop it up with my razor blade or something, and I dump it in there. And then you're going to put it down. You might tamp it down a little bit. You know, you could break this off later. But look at it. Look at this. It makes like a plastic. Look how strong this stuff is. It's kind of brittle, but it holds up. And you let that dry for a minute, and then you put another layer of super glue along the walls. Again, you're trying not to fill it up, but you're going to end up filling it. It's going to fill solid pretty much. You're not going to fill it all the way, but you're going to try to put fillets along the walls at least, and then just hit it with some more baking soda, and then tap out, blow out. When you blow it off screen here. You know, keep it away from your work area so the stuff blows away. Always have safety goggles when using super glue, razors, power tools, sprays, anything. You got to use safety goggles. It's very important because this stuff, you know, little tips of the blade can break off. Super glue can get in your eye. Things can fly off of this. You got dust everywhere. Wear a K95 mask and have a well ventilated area too. Okay, so those are some safety tips that you're going to need as well. Please don't forget that your safety goggles and a clean, fresh air. So after you do about 3 or 4 runs of building up this baking soda plastic, you've got a pretty strong key. It ain't going to break anymore. Okay, so it ain't. It's not going to break. All right, so let's put that away. And that there really isn't much to say about it. Just make sure this is really clean, and you'll see it. And when you're done, if there's some voids or something, you can pour a little glue in there and drop some more baking soda in there. Now, the thing is, you don't want to fill this to the top. You could, if you really want to. It's not going to really do much. You really want to reinforce it near the bottom where the cracks form. And plus, I've reinforced the sides here where it cracked too with a little bit of baking soda. So this is going to be a lot stronger than it ever was. And like I said, it's because of the pressure here. It becomes a fulcrum, and it really puts a lot of stress on those. And you got your weight here. And sometimes the hooks break off on the white keys too, and that's again because someone tried to remove the keys improperly, and they pull on this, and this will break very easily. But the black keys break here at the hook because that's where the aftertouch sensor is. So I hope you got that. I wish I could have shown you in real time. And I keep looking at this where I want to scrape this. Again, this does not have to be perfect back here because you don't see this. And I'm going to clean this up. A viewer sent me these keys. We've been collaborating on some KX88 stuff, and he sent me these keys. And I said, yeah, I'll make a video on how to repair it. And like I said, I made the 3D models for the hooks. If we ever get to a white hook that breaks, I'll just change the model and make it a little different for the white hook. Yeah, I got all sorts of dumb stuff on here. So when you're done, then becomes the hardest part is, this is where you might want to leave it, but you're going to probably see a crack along the top, and there's dirt that's got in there and whatnot. So we're going to take the razor, and we're going to follow along the crack. Make sure you got your safety goggles on, and we're going to cut a V cut, like a V, all along. Here's a side view, a slight tiny V, like we're going to fill it, and that's going to get rid of the black of the crack and whatnot. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pour a little bit of, remember, very clean when you start. You're going to pour a little bit of baking soda in a little mound right along the crack. Just a tiny mound. I don't know if you can see it here, but I poured a little mound over the crack, and then you're going to drop crazy glue and let it sit because it's going to be some surface tension before the crazy glue starts. And after a couple seconds, it'll start soaking into the baking soda. And you might want to tap it down with a piece of paper, and then take it off screen, blow it away, and wipe it. Okay, and then make sure that you got, if you missed the spot, put a little more baking soda over the crack, put a more crazy glue down on it, tamp it down. All right, and then you're going to mask off the whole area except for the crack. This is where the masking tape comes into play. Bear with me for 1 second. My masking tape's all messed up here. So let's see if this thing didn't switch to the modes here. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, now that I like my Samsung tablet, but the camera, there's no reason to put those buttons so close together, especially with big glommy hands like mine. And what I do is right up to the crack. Of course, this is going to be a lot closer when you do it. You're going to be right up to where you made the mound of baking soda and super glue. And what you're going to do is you might even want to, if the crack isn't over here, you might want to put tape there. So wherever there isn't crazy glue. Then you're going to start scraping, and you're going to start filing. Okay? And the tape is so you don't start scraping up your nice shiny plastic of your key. And you're going to take that down right to about the thickness of the tape. When you start thinking that you're starting to sand through the tape just before it, then you can resort to back to the razor blade, and you can draw it across your work area very lightly, very lightly. Sometimes you can increase the pressure, but you're going to go so light. You're probably only taking off a few microns, or just a few molecules at a time. It's so light, and it takes forever because this tape is about 2/1000, 3/1000 of an inch thick. So when you shave it down to the tape, you're obviously going to see your repair. So that's when you start shaving down more, And you'll never get it perfect. Don't try to get it perfect. You know, you start shaving it down, and then you're going to wipe it down with alcohol. And then, you know, if you have 800 grit sandpaper or finer, you can wet sand this. But again, you don't want to wet sand the whole thing because you'll just scrape it, you know, scrape the plastic of the key. You'll make it even worse. So I decided not to use sandpaper, but I just used my wheel without it running. Just this wheel is abrasive enough. And I just kind of worked that. Sometimes I put a little water or a little alcohol on there. And you can, you know, you can polish it up a little bit. Sometimes even just a cotton rag, like my t-shirt here, is enough to polish it up. You want to run it really fast. You're trying to build up a little heat. And you can, you know, you can shave that off pretty well. You're going to see it, you know, if I had that polishing wheel with the polishing rouge, that would be almost invisible. But it's fairly decent. It looks better than the crack, if you ask me. It doesn't stand out as much. But when you look closely, you'll see it. But like I said, when you got the keys and the keyboard and everything together, you probably won't notice it as much, especially with shadows. And, you know, you could keep filling this in until it eventually just fills in. I can still see the crack. Dirt really got deep down into the crack. So the quicker you fix this, then you don't have to worry about a crack. Sometimes it's better to really shave that crack down and get it really deep. So when you put the baking soda and super glue, you really fill it in without seeing the crack. It's an art form, and if you're not used to it, then don't do it. Just leave the crack or buy a key, a replacement key. But like I said, the techniques I showed here are something you might want to do someday if you have something that it's irreplaceable. I can't get it replaced. I have to fix it. So you can fix it. You can just take your time and work it and become a craftsman, even if you've never done it before. Practice on something, create techniques, whatnot. And that's about it. So I'm going to show you the other part of the video that did come out because I had several takes as I was going along. I didn't show you all the shaving because that took like a half an hour for me to shave this down and, you know, try to smooth it out. And what I did is I turned the wheel on with the motor on, even on its slowest speed, and I started grinding away the plastic that I didn't want to. So this cotton wheel was, you know, these Dremel things, that's not a very soft cotton. It's kind of rubbed, abrasive and thick, so I kind of made it worse, but it's still acceptable for me. I hope my viewer will be okay with it, but he's buying a new key anyway, so he said he didn't care if it didn't come out perfect. He just wanted to see a video, and I feel sorry because he didn't get to see me do this in real time. But I'm gonna scrape the super glue a little bit now. They'll give a little bit of a sheen to match the plastic again. We've covered about half the crack. It's covered pretty well. There's still a little bit of it showing through right here. And we'll just keep digging out the dirt. Yeah, you can feel this is like really shiny now. I'm going to put a little water on there, and I'm going to try it very lightly with the wheel on low speed. Keep plenty of water on there. Oh yeah, that's getting that wheel wet is the trick on this. Oh yeah, it's coming up pretty good. Feathering it. And I'm going to call it quits. I think that's getting to the point of diminishing returns. You can see the repair, but you know what? When you're playing the piano, you're probably not going to notice it much. Still can use a little feathering here. It's better than it was. Oh yeah, look at that. That's just like even with the surface now. I'm going to dip the wheel in water. This is going to sling water all over the place here for a second. That wheel may be dirty too, for all I know, so. Now, let's say you had something that was really vintage and you couldn't get a replacement for it. Then it would be worth, the effort to keep going over this lightly, building up, cleaning out the crack, and you could probably hide it pretty well. You can never really completely get rid of the damage. It's amazing how little I'm taking off with every pass of this blade. It's got to be just like a molecule or two. So thin. Definitely in the microns. Well, patience, artwork, clean cloths. I'm just using a t-shirt here, which is probably not the best. It's the feathering that really hides the crack, just like when you do automotive. See, I'm going to just polish this up without even moving the wheel because it's that abrasive. We'll do some circular motions here. See if we can hide the... One of the biggest... Wipe that down with a little alcohol. Get a clean piece of rag here. Clean paper towel. Paper towel is even abrasive. You know, you can actually polish this up pretty well. So did we make it better? Probably not. We kind of hid the crack a little bit. We could probably work on it a little more. But I think we're just going to leave it. You know, I went over this a million times. It'd polish up pretty smooth. Yeah, I got rid of the crack, but I kind of dug into the plastic a little bit. All right, so that's it. You know, that gives you an idea. If you had to work on something that was like that, it's a lot of craftsman work. And given time, you could probably, you know, make it so it looks almost perfect. You know, the right, you know, you had polishing tools and whatnot. But this is acceptable. I gave myself an A- on that, and the key is now functional, and I saved a lot of money, and it took me like an hour to do it. So that'll be it. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the other video on how to repair the black key hook, and see my video on the KX88 removing keys and the self-test. Okay, just to cut away, I forgot to tell you, the key weighs 126.2 grams dry weight. That means the total weight of the key, 126.2 grams. And I'm going to weigh it to see, hopefully it's less than, if I add only 2 grams to weight for the repair, then I'm not going to worry about it. So let's see, 126.2, 127.5. So that's less than 2 grams. I am not going to worry about shaving off the lead weight. You're not going to see any difference in 2 grams. Most keys are within 5 grams tolerance anyway. So if you really want to, you could weigh the key before you make your repair and weigh it afterwards, and then you can just lightly scrape away. This is lead, so be careful with it, and you know, dispose of its filings properly. And you could just lightly scrape away on the corners here until you get, it's very little to get 2 grams. But like I said, 127.6, you know, that's a little more than a gram there, 1.4 grams. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to leave it as is. And you know, I got my trusty little US balance. I love this little scale. It's the only way, as it says on the box. I got that at a what do they call those, antique stores? You know, not really antiques, but they just, you know, they sell stuff. And the nice thing about it, it's got a mode where you can put like 100 screws and then weigh it, and then get rid of the screws, and then it knows, it takes the average weight of a screw, and you can sit there and count screws or pennies or whatever you want. It's a nice little scale. You know, let me turn it around here. I'll show you. See if you can see that on the video. 127.5. Ooh. Attached. There you go. Okay, it's a little less now. Maybe because I weighed it like this. I don't know. All right. So anyway, less than 2 grams. Not going to worry about it. We'll shut that off. Put that away. Stand by for the video on the black key, and I'm going to double check. Hopefully, I don't get that stupid thing in selfie mode, because I had a half hour of just looking at my lights. You know, I'm so annoyed at that. It's not the first time that's happened. And this camera just shuts off sometimes. It just doesn't want to record. That's why I have to keep checking on it. I don't have a producer here to run this stuff for me. So, you know, please leave comments. Constructive criticism is always welcome. I just don't be a troll and say, you know, stupid or whatever. Just be nice, okay? And if you have any questions, let me know. A lot of ideas here. There's probably a million ways you can do it, so I'm open to suggestions. Thank you.